Hi, I'm Bill Hickman. This video is part of my application to be an apprentice in the 2014 Coaching Apprentice Program at Harmony University. As you're aware, this year's application is in two parts, part one being a written answer to a question that I'm sending off to Sherry today, and part two being the answers via video to the questions that you posed. To give you some background, I'd like to include some of what I sent to Sherry as an intro to this video in response to your first question, which was, please explain why I want to be an applicant this year. I'm a 33-year member of the Society and currently serving as bass section leader in Northwest Sound in Bellevue, Washington. Over the years, I have sung and performed with 8 different choruses, including the Masters of Harmony. I've done that in 5 different districts and BABs. In each of those choruses, including the Masters, I have been a section leader, a front row guy, and or a member of the visual team. In that latter capacity, member of the visual team, I've helped prepare 3 separate choruses for multiple international performances, including the Masters, the Big Chicken, and the Atlanta Vocal Project. While serving in the U.S. Navy in England in the 1990s, I joined BABs and was asked to coach several choruses and quartets. And I found the experience exhilarating. I discovered that while keeping things positive, I could communicate clearly the ideas simply and directly, all of which helped the group focus more effectively on their goals. After returning to the United States, I sang in the Dixie District, where superb coaching was readily available and the need for additional coaches was relatively small, so I did not pursue the coaching aspect. But now I'm settled in the Evergreen District up in the Northwest, where there are almost 60 primarily small choruses spread across 5 states and 2 provinces of Canada. There are some superb international caliber coaches up here, but unfortunately there are simply too many needs for the coaches, and that's why I would like to be an apprentice at this year's Harmony University. I want to be a resource for my own chorus, but more importantly, I want to add to the performance coaching pool within the Evergreen District. I've talked about this with a number of coaches, and Marty Lovick has specifically encouraged me to apply for the program. Now to the answers to the questions that you posed. Question 1. What coaching experience, if any, do I have outside of barbershop coaching? As a military and business leader for over 40 years, I have coached to improve the performance of those people who work for me. I was an officer in the U.S. Navy and subsequently an executive in business, and for the majority of those years, I focused on improving the practical hands-on skills of the people who work for me and the teams to which they belonged. Over the past 15 years, though, I have shifted from practical hands-on performance to executive and business coaching. I've worked with clients at all levels, men and women, from laborers to executives, finding ways to help them understand the core issues that were impeding their performance. Over the past 10 years, I have been teaching leadership for the American Management Association, focusing on helping leaders learn how to get things done through influence rather than authority. In the context of nearly 150 3-day seminars across the United States, I have coached over 1,000 business leaders to help them understand how to communicate more effectively. What do I like most about coaching? Actually, this is pretty easy for me. What I like most about coaching is watching the light come on as a person or a group begins to understand something new or in a different way. In the business world, I can literally see this in the face as the new idea begins to take hold, but in barbershop's a little different because I sometimes see it in the face, but more often I can hear it in the quality of the sound or see it in the energy of a group. Question 3. What coaching qualities do I currently possess which I feel contribute to my ability to help quartets or choruses improve? I'm a professional trainer and speaker. In essence, I make my living with my voice. That makes me very comfortable speaking in front of a group. I listen carefully without preconceptions to what I hear in front of me, and I watch carefully. And then I work to uncover the key issues. I prioritize these issues, focus on them one at a time. I give people enough time to absorb what I suggest, and then I work at a moderate pace before I move on to the next priority. I watch eyeballs and body language constantly to make sure they have it before I move on. I work to express ideas simply and sometimes in different ways at the same time to make sure that everybody understands. I'm able to get people to work together toward a common goal without forcing them to do so. I'm able to help leaders and groups articulate their goals. I then work with leaders to help them articulate their desires more clearly to their followers so they can better understand. In other words, I work through the leaders to help their teams improve. I have patience to see past resistance to understand how an individual can contribute to the group. More importantly, I've learned through experience how to effectively communicate so that I am specific, direct, timely, and encouraging. As a coach, I think there is nothing worse than a negative attitude either in a coach or in the person or group being coached. I have learned to keep things positive even in the face of resistance. I believe that effective coaching is very much like leadership. In my view, it's the ability to influence and inspire others to achieve the results that you, the coach, and the group together envision. The fourth question, of the qualities I mentioned in the previous answer, which one do I feel is the strongest and why? I think my strongest quality is my ability to communicate effectively. As a base section leader in Northwest Sound, I was tasked to create a unit sound from a group of 25 disparate voices ranging from newbies with literal or virtually no ensemble singing experience to several multi-decade society members who saw no need for inside the chorus coaching. By articulating what a unit sound could do both for the section and for the chorus and demonstrating how to achieve it, I was able to convince some of them, but it took some personal, private communication to reach the rest. The tool that I used was private one-on-one coaching evaluations of their recordings with follow-on reinforcement in the chorus. By providing specific, direct, timely, and encouraging comments on the recordings, I was able to show these experienced singers how to adjust their vocal production to add to rather than detract from the unit sound. As a coach, what is my greatest growth and development need? Although I have decent musical skills, the problem is they're all practically gained from a lifetime of musical performance, both vocal and instrumental. In the barbershop world, these have been augmented by watching and working with some of the very best coaches and directors in our society, but again, it's all practical. I understand basic music theory, but I believe I could be a stronger coach with a better, more fundamental understanding of chord structure. How will being a coaching apprentice at Harmony University this year help me? That's question number 6. Being a coaching apprentice is going to help me in 3 very specific ways. First, by working hands-on and talking about coaching with the very best coaches in our society, I hope to learn how to see and hear what they see and hear. I want to learn what they listen for and what they watch for so I can be a better coach. Second, being a coaching apprentice is going to improve my confidence as a coach. Although I've coached a good bit in the past, I want to be able to provide a better overall performance coaching experience to the quartets and choruses. Lastly, number 3, being a coaching apprentice will improve my credibility within the Evergreen District. As I said, we have nearly 60 choruses spread across 5 states and 2 provinces of Canada. There are some superb international coaches up here, but frankly, the need is just too great. That said, there's a problem. The need may be great, but there is a very natural reluctance from choruses and quartets to accept coaching from an unknown quantity. And I think training with the very best at Harmony University can help overcome that reluctance. Number 7, describe my most rewarding coaching experience. That's actually quite easy, because within barbershop, my most rewarding coaching experience was working with the Hempstead Highwaymen of Babs. The Highwaymen were a group of 20 to 30 guys who loved and sang barbershop harmony, but performing it in a classic glee club style. They were formal, they were a little bit stiff, They had little physical and emotional involvement. As a group, when I joined them, they referred to their previous Babs performance as the Night of the Living Dead, and it was fairly dead. So as I worked to loosen them up so they could become more engaged, I began to notice that many of them acted as though they were physically restricted in some way, but there were no physical abnormalities in the group at all. So I talked offline with the chorus leaders, and I came to understand that what I thought I was seeing was actually there. It was what they called a manifestation of British Reserve. The members, all of whom were men in their 40s, late 40s and 50s, felt they were supposed to act properly at all times. To overcome this, I had to get them to change their ingrained perceptions of how they should act. I helped the chorus understand that when they were on stage, they were not only free of this reserve, but they were actually required to become a different person. In essence, I gave them permission to adopt a completely different persona when they stepped on the risers. To reinforce this, I asked them to imagine a coat that they would put on every time they stepped on the risers. The coat could be anything they wanted, any style, any color, anything, but I wanted them to physically put the coat on so they would change their personality each time they stepped on the risers. To reinforce that, I created imaginary coat racks on either side of the risers, and these guys literally took them off the coat rack and put them back on the coat rack each time they stepped on and stepped off the risers. There was some initial resistance to this breach of good manners, but as the chorus began to feel and to hear the difference, every single one of them bought in. For the next 5 months, leading up to their Babs contest, I worked with them to reinforce the concept and then added expressiveness and emotion to their performance. By the time they reached the contest, they were working as a group and were more relaxed on stage than they'd ever been. In the prior contest, they had come in 17th. In this contest, they came in 3rd. Describe my most challenging experience, the last question. My most challenging coaching experience to date has been overcoming the resistance of long-term bass singers in the Northwest Sound to changing how they personally sing in order to create a new sound. The newer, less experienced basses, they bought in by changing their sound to build a unit. They bought into that immediately. But some of the more experienced singers, they held back. They liked the idea of unit sound, but they were unwilling to admit that their voice created the noise. They nodded approval at section-wide coaching, but they continually resisted personal change. Through private one-on-one discussions, positive but direct feedback on their submitted recordings, and constant positive reinforcement at rehearsal, I was able to overcome this resistance and achieve the desired unit sound. The real payoff, though, has been that as new guys have joined the section, the older guys, the ones who went through the process to learn how to contribute to the sound, they're reinforcing the process with and providing support to the new guys. That's my application, guys. I look forward to your decision. Thanks.